What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Jared Williams Show. Today we got Patrick Fee on. Welcome in, man.
Welcome. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, happy to have you here.
Yeah.
So you connected with me on Facebook. You said, "Hey, I watched your podcast." We grew from 0 to 7 million in how fast?
11 months.
In 11 months.
11 months.
So from starting your business to 7 million in 11 months.
Yep.
Which is freaking impressive.
Yeah.
And I was like, dang, we got to hop on a Zoom call, dude, because I want to know what you did. Anyway, we met, and then I put out the thing to get my podcast, to be a guest on my podcast. You came out, and you've been doing some social media. I've been seeing your stuff. It's really good.
Thank you. Thank you.
And your business is, I'm guessing, way further than 7 million at this point.
Yeah. So when I reached out to you on Facebook, big thank you. You know, a lot of your stuff inspired both me and my partner. Right?
That's cool.
That first year.
Yeah.
But that was January. So here we are. We're halfway through the year, and we're at 6.8 right now for this year. So we're going to double that number.
Cool.
We're going to double that number.
So you're going to do anywhere between 12 and 14.
12 and 14.
Yeah. Awesome.
14 is the goal. We'll see where we get.
And this will be year 2.
Year 2.
Minus a month.
That'll be a full year. So we got a little bit we got 30 more days this time.
Cool. Okay. So I really want to go into that because you have some background that definitely helped you out, I would say 100%, which I think is cool because it, between you and your partner, you guys had a good thing going, which is rad. Yeah. So why don't we, I want to dig into how you grew, but I think we need to understand how you got to the point where you were, okay, let's start our own company. Because are you a plumber by trade?
Yes, I am.
You are. How about your partner?
Yes, he is. Both of us are.
So you and your business partner, plumbers by trade. Tell me your background story.
So listen, it's I didn't wake up saying, boy, I want to be a plumber. Right. Yeah. I don't remember at 6th grade at career day. I think I wanted to be like president or an astronaut or something crazy like that. Right.
Something cool.
Be a rock star. You know, I'm going to play in the NFL. Right. I'm obviously not the body for the NFL. Right. I was a baby and had my first baby. Right. Yeah. I was super young, had a child, and I was going to college, working nights at it was like an Amazon warehouse place. This is long before Amazon was around. I'm 44, so this is a few years ago.
So right? You're a really old guy.
Yeah, really old guy in plumbing world. In the plumbing world, I'm old, right? And I was like the garbage cleanup guy for a roofing company. Like I didn't know anything about construction, mind you. Right? So I'm just breaking my back, getting no sleep, had bags under my eyes. And a really good friend, he's almost like a big brother to me, right? He caught me one day and he said, dude, you're killing yourself. Stop. And I said, well, what else am I supposed to do? You know, I got to get this degree so I can stop doing these lame jobs and make some real money. I got a daughter to take care of. Yeah. He said, well, you're going to stop. You're going to stop all that. He goes, I got 2 choices for you. He goes, my cousin's an electrical contractor. He goes, and I'm a plumbing contractor. I said, I don't know anything about any of those things. He goes, don't worry, we'll teach you. He goes, so which one do you want to be? And I said, well, which one pays more, right? Like that's the most important thing, right? Yep. Who's going to pay me the most money? Yeah. He said, they're both amazing paying trades, right? They're about the same. Yep. I said, well, which one's better? He just said, well, you can get poo-poo on your hand or you can get zapped. I said, I can take a shower, right? Poof, I was a plumber, right?
Well, plus, plumbers are cooler than electricians.
Yeah.
Plumbers put that out there. Yeah. Sorry to all the electricians that listen to this.
So this was before the housing crash. And so he was doing all new construction, all custom spec homes. Yeah. And I got out there. Funny story on that, and then we'll fast forward is my wife bought me tools the night before I was supposed to go to work with him. I just up and quit my jobs. The next day I was going to go work for him. He was paying me good money. Yeah. And she went to, this is back in the day, Sears, right? Yep. They had the DIY Craftsman do-it-yourselfer kit, for the homeowner, and it came in the big plastic box that everything never stays in the piece that it's supposed to stay in. Yep. And she didn't look at the box, so she bought the one that everything's a pink handle. So I got the girl set, right? I didn't open it, right? I just wanted to, I had brand new work boots. I'd never worn work boots in my life.
Yeah.
I put them on, hopped in his truck. He takes me to a job site. We were doing underground roughing, and he said, go stake and tie wire all this drain pipe. So he gives me some rebar. He says, you got your tool set? Yep, I'll get a hammer. He said, just drive it in. He showed me how to do one. He said, off to the races you go. So I have my tool set, and I didn't know any better, right? I didn't notice that his hammer he used was, full on, mallet or something, right?
Yeah, like a 4-pound sledge or something.
Yeah. So it was a big old single jack, right? And he's getting it down in one swing. And I'm like, okay, I'll do that. So I go to my little toolkit. I pull out this pink handled, like little girl penny nailer hammer, right? And I sat over there for 20 minutes. Tap, 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 tap.
Yep.
Thought I was doing a great job. Before you knew it, the whole job site, I didn't even notice because I was so concentrated. I've hit my thumb 3 or 4 times probably.
Yep.
Just a total greenhorn, right? Whole job site had stopped. He was so embarrassed. He came over, grabbed the hammer, grabbed the toolbox, threw it over the side of the hill, and he said, never bring those on my job site again. Right? True story.
That's funny.
The good news was, at the end of the day, he took me to a big box store and he bought me my first set of tools. Probably spent, I don't know, $800. Bought me power tools, everything. I still have most of them to this day.
Nice.
Right? Eventually, the housing crash came along, right, and all our work stopped. He told me, he said, I'm going to get you an in at the union. Poof, I was a union plumber, right?
And you're from, are you in California at this time?
California the whole time, right?
Yep.
And
were you born and raised there?
Born in California, moved around a little bit. My dad was an airline pilot, so sometimes
cool.
Minnesota and New York, and always back to California though. So
All right.
most of my adult life in California.
I got a quick question.
Yeah.
I had a guy in here the other day trying to become an airline pilot.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, he wanted a job at Dude Wash. I asked him, how much do airline pilots make? He said anywhere between $190K to $450K a year. Is that correct? Do you know?
I think maybe 10 years ago that was correct. Right. I know right before my dad's retirement, most of the airline industry in the U.S. took about a 45% pay cut for pilots. Right. So I think it was a dream job like 10 years ago, but the market's become flooded.
Yeah.
Right. Everybody wants to be an airline pilot.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to be a doctor. Everybody wants to be a lawyer. Look at all their wages are plummeting.
Yep.
I wouldn't go do it.
And plumbers are getting paid more and more and more.
Yeah,
and more.
we're making more than they are. Right.
Yep.
So
Okay.
be a plumber.
Cool.
So off to the union I go. The union was amazing in their education.
Oh yeah.
They actually, the union contractor that hired me, they ended up paying for the rest of my college too. So I got my engineering degree, but I finished my 5-year apprenticeship with the union. That was some of the best training I've ever received in the plumbing industry. They standardized everybody. We all knew what we were talking about. And it was really amazing. Got to plumb on some big commercial high rises and all sorts of cool stuff, right?
Cool.
Worked out at a NASA plant. A lot of fun.
Yeah. That stuff's cool. Like
it is cool.
In the beginning.
It's way cool as a tradesman. Now, I'm not proud of saying this, but I did not have a naturally strong mechanical aptitude, right?
Yeah.
I probably took twice as long to learn everything as everybody else.
Yeah.
Right? All the other guys had mastered their apprenticeship. They were pretty much journeymen, like 2.5 years in.
Yeah.
I was very much struggling.
Yeah.
But I'm stubborn, and I wanted to be a master plumber.
Yep.
And I pushed myself till I got there. But
Cool.
it was slow. There's a lot better plumbers out there. I eventually got good enough that I can probably say I'm probably one of the best plumbers in California, but it took me so long to get there.
Yeah.
Embarrassingly long, right?
Okay, I won't tell anybody.
So I got tired of all the traveling with the union, though. There was a lot of traveling. By this time, I had a couple kids, and it was just time to stop, right?
Yeah.
Here comes another like market crisis, and the big union job shut down.
Yeah.
And so back to the original plumber I went, and he had me run some service calls. I was unemployed and didn't know what to do, so he was like, "Well, hop in the truck with me," right?
Yep.
So off we go. And I said, when did you get into service? He goes, when the housing crashed, right? He goes, things never stop in service.
Yep.
And it was a lot of fun. Instead of being stuck on one job site for like a year,
Yeah.
right? I was in 4 or 5 different homes a day,
Yep.
having a blast,
Yep.
meeting people. And every time you're the hero.
Yep.
Now, he was your classic old school plumber, never charged enough,
Yep.
worked way too hard,
Yep.
just an honest, good man that allowed customers to undervalue him.
Yep.
So I couldn't make a good living doing that with him,
Yeah.
but I learned a good skill in service.
Yep.
So off to the big boys I went,
Yeah.
right? I spent the next 10 years bouncing around from small mom and pops to medium-sized companies to large companies. I did it all at all of them. Got heavy into the sales side of things, just doing like a comfort advisor in the plumbing world.
Mm-hmm.
That was fun. I was decent at it. I wasn't the best, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I was decent.
Yeah.
Where I found my calling though was in like leadership.
Yep.
Right. I love running things.
Yep.
And I love looking at data.
Yep.
Right. Analyzing things, seeing how we can improve. Right. I think that's the engineer in me coming out
Yeah.
now. So
Yeah.
I don't feel like that college education was necessarily wasted. I wish I hadn't spent as much money on
Yeah.
it. Right. But it definitely fostered skills that I use to this day.
Oh yeah.
Right. So,
Dude, I've got skills just because my wife went to college.
yeah.
And I watched her, like, she would need help on her homework and I would have to learn it. And I was like, that's kind of a useful skill.
Yeah.
It was cool because I didn't have to go to college to learn it. But
Like
you're,
you.
you're probably like, you probably know more than I do. That's for sure. There's definitely
There's a ton of wasted space in college too.
yeah.
Wasted education.
But did you have to take like a public speaking class and economics class and that kind of
I had
stuff?
to do all the general ed, and that was such
Yeah.
a waste of time. It absolutely was.
Man, maybe my wife got lucky. She had an economics teacher that like changed my world.
Really.
Just talking about the different like Keynesian versus I don't even remember what it is now, but talking about like she was the first person that introduced me to like the idea of the libertarianism and these people who have all these weird thoughts, and I was like, oh, weird.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand like the difference between Republican and Democrat until my wife took that college class. I didn't even know how like our voting system worked or
Wow.
or what the House was or what the Senate was. So yeah, it was cool. Like I thought it was awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah.
For that, it's good. I was really blessed. My parents, thank you, mom and dad, right? Like, I just got to say that on camera.
Yeah.
I have like literally the world's best parents. Right?
That's awesome.
I was very fortunate in growing up, afforded every opportunity, but not spoiled, just taught the most well-rounded that you could be taught, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to summarize it. I've never seen my parents fight once. In all these years, it bothers me. And I always ask them, like, don't you guys fight maybe behind closed doors? And they're like, no, we just get along.
Yeah.
We just get along. So, like, just a really good childhood.
That's cool.
Part of that included some homeschool education for about 4 years. And that got me all that useful education you
Yeah.
talked about from your wife at her college. So by the time I got to college,
It
it
just
was
seemed
like
like
a repeat of something that mom and dad had already done and done better than a professor had.
Yeah.
Right. Because they taught me the theory and then the actual practical application of that.
Yeah.
Right.
That's cool.
So very blessed in that sense. So by the time I got to college, it was kind of a waste.
Gotcha.
Right.
Yeah.
I tried the engineering thing for like, I think 60 days,
Mm-hmm.
long enough to feel cool because I got to drive to an office wear a suit and a tie. Oh, I'm not in the field anymore.
Yeah.
All my buddies are stuck being plumbers, right?
Yep.
I was so bored.
Yeah.
And the pay cap for most engineers, I know there's like a 1% group and we should always be striving for that. But the 99% in that, it sucks. The pay sucks,
Yep.
right? So
And what are you doing? Are you a
Dude, I
paper
was-
pusher?
So
for the
yeah,
most part?
I was just running like CAD crash courses to see if, this company's plumbing interfered with the electrical contractors' electrical. It was stupid boring.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm sure in time I could have worked to something better, but I just didn't see the pay there.
Yep.
So I was like, this is not going to support the life that I want, or for all the children that I have.
Yeah.
So I think it was like 60 days, and I was back in the field again. So
Nice.
anyways, fast forwarding, working for all these large equity groups and stuff. I worked my way into management. I fell in love, even when it was stressful. Like, people adapt to their environment.
Yeah.
And I thrived in that environment.
Yeah.
It caused a lot of stress in my life. It did. Not always good, but I definitely signed up for every bit of it.
Yeah.
Right. Because it was new and there was so much to learn.
Yeah.
Because I got to learn how to run business.
Yep.
I always wanted to own a plumbing business. I think almost everybody does that's in the trade, own their own some point.
Yeah.
I'd watched too many friends over the years that were like way better plumbers, right? Or way better electricians than anybody I knew. Start businesses and fail because they were not businessmen and they had no understanding of it.
And they're just thinking about the actual plumbing.
Yeah. Yeah. As long as I just do really good plumbing, everything's going to work out for the customer.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you think about plumbing today?
No.
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 Okay.
I get excited about once a week. I get a question asked of me by one of our guys.
Yeah.
And, I'll answer it, but it's usually like an outdated answer at this point.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, dude, we have these things called ProPress or PEX. We stopped doing, we don't weld gas pipe anymore, dude.
Yeah.
So I'm a little outdated on a lot of that stuff.
Yep.
But it's exciting to have a quick conversation about, but it's like less than 1% of my life.
Yeah.
Even though I run a plumbing business.
Yeah. Yep.
So at some point though, the education stopped. Even like you can only learn so much as a manager, as a shop manager or operations manager, whatever you're called, right? I ran single shops, multi-shops, done all of it. I don't know if I was the best, but I definitely was good at it, right? And I knew I was good at it. I didn't understand at the time that my education had stopped. And I was just getting like salty at businesses or owners or CEOs for no reason whatsoever. It wasn't their fault.
Yeah.
Right? I'd learned what I could learn at that level. And the only things left for me to learn were like owner experiences.
Yeah.
So I knew how to run a P&L really tight. Nobody had ever taught me about cash flow. Right? That was a whole lesson that I didn't learn until recently.
Yeah.
Because as long as you're maintaining a great P&L, a good EBITDA, the boss is happy, you don't see the money after that point.
Nope.
Right? It goes off to accounting and they do whatever they do with it. And you don't know anything about that.
Yeah.
So I wanted more. I crave education a lot. Right? And it has to be education around what I'm excited about.
Do you think that's like typical entrepreneur?
I think so.
They get bored because they're not learning or progressing or moving forward.
Yeah. So I've just been learning a lot about that myself in the last 5 years or so.
Yeah.
I made some mistakes along the way. I should be honest, right? That's why it took me so long to make these decisions. Had I been a smarter man, and I just took a long time figuring myself out. I really envy people who like just wake up and they know who they are. Right?
Yep.
I wish some of my kids right now, I have 5 kids, right?
Yeah.
Some of my kids just know who they are and their life is so simple. And some of my kids are more like myself.
Yeah.
And they can't figure out who their identity is.
Yeah.
Right. And I didn't know that I was an obsessive. I didn't know that I was an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
When you don't know that, it's easy to get drawn to some negative areas and some negative people. And I made a lot of poor choices.
Yeah.
And I paid some prices for those.
I can totally relate to that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So eventually I straightened up my act and stuff. But even then, I still wasn't aware. And finally, I don't know when it was, but a light bulb went off, and I realized, oh, I'm a very obsessive personality, and that's my greatest strength and my greatest weakness.
Yep.
So once I realized that, just some very like super basic level self-discipline, like let me keep my focus here and not over here, and life will work out fine.
Yeah.
So I've narrowed my life down to like just a few things, like family, career, health, and in the winter I go skiing.
Yeah.
Right?
Nice.
Just a super narrow focus.
Do you ski or snowboard?
Ski. The kids all snowboard. I know.
Really? Your kids snowboard?
They snowboard. I ski. The wife skis. So
See, that's backwards for me. I snowboard. My kids ski.
Really?
Yeah. And it was like I don't know. When I was a kid, snowboarding was cool.
Yeah.
And now when my kids were kids, skiing was cool. So maybe snowboarding's catching back on.
Where we're at in California, all the youngsters snowboard, but it was cool. Snowboarding was cool when I was a kid. I just didn't get up there enough.
Yeah.
And snowboarding takes longer to learn than skiing. It's more
harder.
rewarding, I think. There's more tricks and cool stuff you could do, right? I just wanted to be not falling, so I stuck with the skis.
Right on.
And in one season, I was able to shoot pretty much anything.
Yeah,
cool. So narrowed focus. I didn't know what to do though. Once I hit a cap, I just knew that I needed to do something different because I was afraid of letting my vision wander, right? Because I'd already experienced some negative stuff in my life from letting my focus wander. It just happened to be perfect timing. So for the last 4 or 5 years, I've been working at one company, great company, good guys. And the guy that I got partnered up with there was a sales guy. Right. So they gave me the keys, gave me a whirlwind education, and then said, go to Sacramento, you're running that shop. This guy will meet you there. So he met me there, and we rode around for one day together. He was out in the field selling jobs. He's introducing me to all the guys that are on job sites. By the end of the day, he looked at me and he said, this isn't for you. We should go start our own company. I like you. And I said, whoa. I said, look, I just got this. It's a really sweet job. They're paying me really well. I think we'll just table that one, dude. 5 years later, he hit me up again. It was like December 2023.
Yep.
Right. Says, dude, so I gave you 5 years. Remember that statement I made? I said, yeah, we joke about it all the time.
Yeah.
And he goes, well, I went out and I got my license reactivated. I'm quitting. You're going to quit with me, and we're going to start a company. And that's that. By this time, we'd become really good friends over this 5 years.
Yeah.
He's very close with my family. The kids call him Uncle Greg.
Nice.
You know, he's just a good guy. And he's an obsessive too. And he loves selling. And he closed me and my wife. He made me put the phone on speaker. He said, "Let me talk to your wife, Sam." Right?
Yep.
We're gonna make this happen. He knew if he could talk her into it, that I was stuck doing it.
Yep.
I think it was like 3 hours later, we were like, well, let's at least meet for lunch about this tomorrow. He already had us closed. We were talked into it.
Yep.
We turned in our 2 weeks. And
so he's a good salesman.
He's a great salesman, right? He's talked me into so much stuff in my life. You know, anytime he needs me to work harder too, he talks my wife into buying some dumb thing. I don't know, paddle boards. Go buy paddle boards. Get into this new hobby. Get into skiing. He's the one that got us into skiing.
Nice.
Right? Most expensive hobby in the dang world. Yep. Right? A lot of fun, but expensive.
Yep.
But that was just because he wanted me to work more. Right?
Nice.
So we got to spend a bunch of money. Now we got to work harder, make some more money.
Yep.
Right? He knows the game.
Yep.
So he said, great, this is how it's going to work. You win everything, I'll make the money. And I said, great. We've already been doing that for 5 years anyways.
Yeah.
Right? Let's keep it going.
Yeah.
So he said, okay, so I'm going to go on vacation before we start this company. I'll see you in 2 weeks. Have the company started by then. Mm-hmm. Okay, sounds good, right? So I gave my 2 weeks at the work. We took another 2 weeks setting up the business. I guess the point in why I'm telling you this is I know a lot of people that are on the fence.
Yeah.
Like, well, you know, I've been talking about for a year, but I think if I just save some more money for 6 more months and, you know, I really want to hit this one more goal in life. And then I feel, well, maybe when the economy's a little better, maybe when I finish paying off my home.
Yep.
Dude, we didn't have anything planned for this.
No.
Right?
It's like having a kid.
Yeah. It was just go. So we took $25K each startup cash. Do we only touch like, I think $14K for a van and some wraps, and maybe another $14K between signing up with Service Titan and some basic marketing to start. The rest of it sat in there, and we've never put a dime back in the bank since.
Nice.
We made, by the time he got back, we were on Service Titan. It's funny, I thought I knew everything, but I'd worked for a bunch of businesses. I'd never started my own. Now, I had opened greenfields for these companies, but when you're at these large companies, they got someone that's going to go get the business license, do all this stuff for you.
Yep.
So it was kind of humbling, right? Finding out what I didn't know after all these years, because this is like 25 years in the industry at this point.
Yeah.
Right. And there were some basic things that I didn't know.
Yeah.
And that's where we found your videos. Right. And I was like, oh my God, this guy's saving my life. And I was like so embarrassed to ask anybody for help too, because I've been doing this 25 years and, bragged about all the success that I had helped others achieve. My wife was a huge hand in that. Right.
Yeah.
She had never worked in the industry. When we started this business, she was like, okay, I'm done being a stay-at-home mom. I'm going to work for the business. She's been amazing. You wouldn't know that she hasn't worked her whole life in this industry.
Yeah.
As smart as they come. She's spoken at several events now.
Cool.
And she's just a great person in the industry. Very trying working with your partner.
Yep.
I think it's good and bad, right? So like we spend 8 hours a day working together.
Yeah.
And then the average couple in the U.S. spends about 2 hours a day together, about an hour watching TV. I just read the statistics. Actually, our buddy Daniel Isles read this to me.
Nice.
Right? An hour watching TV.
He works with his wife too, doesn't he?
Yes, he does.
Yep.
Right. He was arguing that it was a good thing to work with your wife. So we're getting 5 times the amount of time together. So even if it's stressful, which it is at times. I mean, you work together, you have 2 different opinions on how to run the business.
So from my experience, it's hard to have your wife there because she's your wife and you know how smart she is and capable she is and you expect more of her. And then as your wife, she wants to come to you for help just because she wants to spend time with you or be with you or get your input because she typically respects you as her husband, right?
Yeah.
But that's not how a work relationship typically works. And so whenever my wife came in, she's the one who really she's the one who got our systems in place at Prospector, got our SOPs in place. Cause that was foreign concept to me.
Yeah.
And I remember working with her and I just had such high expectations of her and she would come to me for help and I'd be like, you can figure this out. And any other employee,
guilty as charged.
Dude, any other employee, I just would have been like, oh yeah, let's get this figured out. I'm on your team. Let's help you win. But with my wife, I didn't have that foresight. And I think that's what's hard about it.
You summarized us in a nutshell. There.
Yeah. You have this marriage relationship and then you have a work relationship, but they're the same relationship.
They are.
And how do you go in from marriage mode to work mode and vice versa? I'd say me and my wife still aren't good at it.
We're a work in progress on that.
Yeah.
Lucky for me, she's really loving and patient because
that's good.
I'm an a-hole.
Yeah.
I'm an a-hole to her. And you're right. Every other employee I give a lot more to.
Oh yeah.
What's insane about that though is every other employee has taken a lot more time to train.
Yep.
I've threw her trial by fire and she's surpassed them,
yep.
even though they have years of experience on her.
Yeah.
Right. So that tough love, while it's not great for the marriage part, it's made her an amazing businesswoman overnight.
Yeah.
Overnight.
That's cool.
So we figure all these new business things out, right? They're not that hard.
Yeah.
They really aren't.
Yeah.
Right. Again, I love the way that we did it because the clock was ticking. I had to get this done before Greg got back from his vacation. He expected to walk in day one and run some calls and get us going.
Yeah.
Right. That's what he does. None of the rest of the business he doesn't do. So he was just going to be sitting there at my dining room table, tapping his fingers. Going, come on, dude. When's the phone going to ring?
Yep.
So we sucked it up and we figured it all out, got it going. I think it was January 15th of 24. We booked our first call live on Service Titan.
Nice.
We started with paper leads.
Nice.
I don't know that I would recommend that for everybody. Again, though, super confident. I got one of the top plumbing salesmen in the nation as my business partner.
Yeah.
Right. I can confidently spend money in marketing knowing that it will convert.
Right. Yep. And like when you say pay per lead, what are you talking about?
So these are not pay per click. This is pay per lead. So there's a lot of companies out there that do this where it's a fixed rate,
Yep.
and they're sending you a verified plumbing lead,
Yep.
unique just to you. So I'm not talking Angie's or Thumbtack here.
Yep.
Right. This is just exclusive to you in your area.
Yep.
It falls under the list of services you provide. Go do with it what you will.
Yep.
Right. And they charge you an upfront price on that.
Yeah.
So it's
Is it a set upfront price?
It's a set upfront price.
Yep.
And they're usually more expensive than a lot of other marketing services out there.
Yep.
However, it's really easy to manage.
Yeah.
Because you can turn that on and off like a light switch.
Yep.
You don't have to worry about your ranking going up and down. You don't have to worry about reviews or reputation management. It doesn't take months to build traction.
Yep.
It's not branding. Again, all these things are great too, but these things take time.
Yep.
Especially the branding thing. That could take years if not done properly.
Yep.
So pay per lead is instantaneous.
Yeah.
High upfront cost.
Yep.
Again, if you're good at closing and converting, who cares? Right? Do it.
Yes. Yep.
So
And-
we're paying, I think, 150 to 175 per lead.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. If you're not priced right, that's going to kill you.
Yeah.
If you're trying to be $120 an hour, that's going to kill you.
So again, he's been doing this 10 years longer than me, so 35 years.
Yeah. So he's probably really good at.
He's got the whole price book up here.
Yeah.
Right? It's just memorized.
Probably really good at going into a home and going to like a toilet flapper call and ended up selling like a new water softener and a water heater and a sewer
whole
repipe,
nine.
right?
Yeah, the whole
Yeah.
nine. I've
Yep.
seen him turn several. And you know what I'm most proud about him for? And maybe someday you get him in here to tell his story. But what I'm proud of for, because I've seen a lot of amazing salesmen over the years. I've worked with tons of them. Most aren't as good as they claim to be. And the good ones, I'd say about 50% of them are not ethical. Right? They're just out there gunning for a commission,
Yep.
selling people stuff they don't need, selling things that are unnecessary. Right? It's bad sometimes. Right? And I really have some strong feelings about that because I hate that our industry's got a bad rap.
Can you give me an example of that?
Yeah, so they will. I've fired guys for this over the years. Let me start by saying I am extremely picky about who I hire, so that I don't have to deal with these situations. But I've seen all the worst and worst over the years at other companies. Guys that will crawl under homes and break pipe and say, "Oh, you have broken pipe."
Oh,
Like they're doing that to people.
dang.
We've all seen on the news plenty of times. You've seen those sting operations that they run on plumbers on water heaters.
Yeah.
And every plumber's just coming in, "Oh, your water heater needs to be replaced. Zero diagnostics done. They got the hidden camera there. I've seen that happen.
Yeah.
Right. A lot of it too is just exaggerating the problem. I understand that there's a bit of salesmanship that goes into this, right? And I think salesmanship gets a bad word. It's just value building.
Yeah.
You don't have to exaggerate. You don't have to lie. You don't have to be dishonest. You don't have to use scare tactics. I see people do this like strong arms, like the sleazy used car salesman stuff where if you don't fix your sewer line, it's going to explode.
Yep.
The customer's envisioning their house like going off like a Hiroshima bomb.
Yep.
What really would happen is some poo-poo's going to slowly ooze up, right? Like that's not an explosion, dude.
Right.
You're way over exaggerating that.
Yep.
And you're getting people to sign contracts out of fear.
Yeah.
And that's not right.
Yeah.
So I'm proud of my business partner that he has sold tens of thousands of jobs, not a single complaint.
Yeah.
At a very high average ticket.
Yeah. What would you say like if it's not sleazy sales tactics, what do you think the main strong points are?
He's incredibly good at communicating to his audience, right? Tonality, demeanor, slang changes to match, and he mirrors them. And he will take the time to break everything down for them, right? He is not in a rush with it. if he's at a call for 4 hours, I'm excited. I know something big's coming. Right? He's not afraid to spend all day long with one customer.
Yeah.
You know, and it's very rarely time wasted.
Yeah.
And now he also knows when it's time to get out of there.
Yeah.
You know, I see him go in and out of homes in 20 minutes also, right? He's just extremely good level of discernment on where there's an opportunity and where there's not. He's very upfront with people, very transparent, and just direct, super direct.
What do you mean by that?
He's almost brashly direct. Like it's just his personality. If you met him, he's like a big chest, broad shoulders. Like he looks like the brawny lumberjack guy, right?
Yeah.
He's big, impressive dude like that. So he's just like, we need to replace all the plumbing in your house. This is why. And they're like, okay. He's like, and it's going to cost this. So when are we starting?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh,
Tomorrow.
I'm going to go start cutting open your walls right now. Right. I need you to sign that. Right. But he's done so much work showing them where it's gone wrong that people are just like, okay. I hear so often customers say, well, I trust him, so let's do this.
Yeah.
You know, he's just really good at building value and trust.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah.
So, you know, January 15th, we start running calls. I think we had like 1 or 2 calls. There was some, it took a little bit to get the leads flowing, right? Even with paper lead and some other stuff going. But all the same, by the end of January, I think it was really like January 20th when we had like the first couple sales crack off. So 10 days left in the month, we still stacked up $250K in top line sales.
Nice.
Had to rush out, buy vans, get them wrapped, right?
Yeah.
Call some guys.
Yeah.
Say, hey, we started our own company. And they said, we heard, we've been waiting for your call, boss. We're coming right now. Great thing about being in the industry in the same area for a long period of time, you get to know all the good plumbers.
Yeah. You knew a lot of people.
Yep. And I built a good reputation as a leader for always paying well, paying on time, right? And caring about people and their lives. You know, I know all their kids' names, know their wives' names, right?
Yeah.
So we didn't have any problem recruiting.
Yeah.
Right. It was just how many leads can we get through the door? We convert on them and go.
Yeah.
And we knew our pay structure up front, what it was going to be. It's about 20% above all of our competitions.
Yeah.
Right. So everybody was like, I mean, my phone was ringing off the hook. When can I start? When do you have a van for me, dude?
Yeah.
And so it just exploded fast.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's probably the most explosive growth I've seen out of anybody. Like I work with people who, some people I'll watch, they'll just go from 0 to 6 vans in 6 months. And then they're just crushing it. Depending on where they're at, they're doing 3 to 6 million a year. Right.
Yeah.
And some people, man, they're just on the struggle bus, and it's mostly mindset, unfortunately. And it's the hardest thing to fix.
Yeah. Mindset. Can I go back to, I'm lucky, right? I've heard your story. I know you started over a couple times with it before you got it right.
Yep.
Had I not had the experiences I had, I think Greg and I would have that same story too.
Yeah.
So I don't think that there is anything wrong with failing.
No.
I think that's what teaches us those things.
Yeah.
I was very fortunate along the way leading up to this company. I got to work with several different owners that allowed me to experiment on their dime.
Yeah.
Right. Most of the time that worked out really well in their favor, but I made some mistakes too. And I really appreciate that they allowed me to have those mistakes and they definitely like, what are we going to do about this? But it wasn't this like chastising, you're fired, you're worthless. It was like, well, we tried that, what are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
And I really appreciate that. I've had, 3 or 4 of those mentors along the way.
Yeah.
And I try to do the same. It's hard when you're letting other people gamble with your money.
It is. Yep.
But it's worth it.
Yeah.
It is.
It gets easier the more money you have.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm
So-
not quite there yet.
So I want to go back, like
Mhm.
what kind of positions did you hold in like, how big are these companies that you worked for, and like, what kind of positions are you holding?
So,
Like you said, you went to go greenfield a few locations.
yeah, so I've worked for some large equity groups, some large franchise groups. We're talking as company wholes. I've worked for one that was large as 800 million a year. That was the largest one.
And that's like just plumbing or what?
No, that was all mechanical.
Okay.
So they were doing plumbing, HVAC, electrical. And I've worked for ones. Most of them were around the, 50 to $200 million mark. Right. So a lot of education in that space.
Yeah.
Right. So running single shops, running multiple shops,
Yep.
learning about regional control.
Yep.
And amazingly talented people can be found in those organizations.
Yeah.
And I just try to leech onto all of them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I learned a little bit from this guy, a little bit from that
Yeah.
guy, and I just write it down in my notebook and save all that information.
If you had to pinpoint like the top 3 things that you learned or skill sets that you were able to acquire, what do you think they were?
So the 2 that come to mind first is sales.
Yep.
Right? It matters. It does matter.
does.
I know it has, like, when I say that word, even now still there's a part of me that cringes.
Yeah.
Like the plumber inside me is like, ew,
Yeah.
he said that word.
Yeah.
That 4-letter sale.
Mm-hmm.
That's awful.
Yep.
Right? We don't sell people. We just fix problems.
Yeah.
It's a business, and it's how we feed our families.
If you don't sell it, you ain't gonna fix it.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
So, learning that when you're out there with people, that sales and sales education does help. Right?
Yeah.
It helps the customer too.
Yep.
Right? You know how awful it feels when you know that there's a legitimate problem and people don't want to spend the money to fix it, and then 6 months later they're calling you and saying that, I just had to pay $100,000 in damages because I didn't take care of this.
Yeah.
Can you come out here and give me another estimate on this?
Yep.
And I feel responsible because I let them chase me out of their house,
Yeah.
right, with a no,
Yep.
when I should have educated them about what was coming for them,
Yep.
right? I have a responsibility to those people.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
For us, it was, we would go out and give a price on like a new heating system, and they would go with someone cheaper, spend 20 grand less, 20 grand instead of 40 grand, and then call us back out to fix what the other guy did. Basically rip it out and pay us 40 grand to put in what we suggested the first time. And yeah, I would agree. Like, we didn't do a good enough job communicating what we were going to do versus the cheap guy.
Yep.
Yeah.
I used to love those calls, and then I started feeling guilty.
Yeah.
When you get the call and there's a part of you that's like, yeah, I knew you'd be calling me back. That guy messed it up. The other part of me was like, man, I feel like a failure.
Yeah.
Because you had to pay him 20, and now you're still paying me the original 40. I'm not going to charge you more to fix his mistakes. I feel bad for you.
Yeah.
Right? I feel like an idiot that I didn't properly educate you the first time around.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
So sales has a place in our world, right?
I 100%
Communication and education, right?
Yeah.
Customer service, right? I think that's a better term than sales. Customer service.
I think it's a much better lens to look, like, if you look through the idea of I need to, rather than sell you on this work, but in order to provide you the best quality service, I need to make sure that you're well educated about what's actually going on here and persuade you into the best decision.
Yes.
Or help you make the best decision for you, your financial situation, all that kind of stuff. They can't do that. Like, typically a person can make the decision on their own, but they need all the information.
Yes.
And I don't think we do a very good job as an industry providing them with all the information.
No, we don't.
Because we look through it as one lens of, I'm going to repair that thing. We don't look through it in other lenses. Like, I remember, you probably had this same thing, but I remember building my price book and looking at prices on things and going like, damn, they're better off just paying me to rebuild this toilet.
Yes.
Yeah, it's $100 more today, but then it's all brand new.
Yeah.
And they don't know how to rebuild their toilet. And if I go in there and just replace their flapper, but their handle is like going to be gone in 2 days and they got to call me back and now replace the handle.
And then in a month, you're coming back for the tank to bowl kit.
Yeah, they're at a loss.
Yeah.
Yeah. And most plumbers would just go replace the flapper.
They would.
Yeah.
I was that guy for a lot of years.
So was I.
Early,
So was
early
I,
on, I
man.
was.
So was I.
So sales has its place. Subtext to, addendum to sales was options,
Yeah.
right? That's where I felt like I was really giving customers value.
Mm-hmm.
Is when I said options, good, better, best. Sometimes they might need 4 or 5 options.
Yeah.
Even. As soon as I did that, close rate went through the roof.
Yeah.
Average ticket went through the roof.
Yep.
Customer satisfaction, I think, went higher than either of those other 2 numbers.
Yeah.
And it was, it's what I want in life. I noticed I went to the dentist like a couple months ago, and I needed some major stuff done.
Mm-hmm.
The dentist gave me options.
Nice.
The dentist gave me options.
He's been watching the podcast. That's why. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I used to, even as much caring and passion as I had for each and every customer, I used to be the guy that was like, this is what you need to do.
Yep.
I'm going to decide for you what's going to happen in your home, what I think is best for you, and not listen to your opinion. Because I'm the plumber. I'm the master plumber. Don't you know who I think I am?
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. Yeah.
Like, who am I kidding?
Yeah.
Legend of my own mind? Get out of here, dude.
Yeah.
What do you need, Jared? What's your pain points? Okay, let me work out solutions that move you from that pain to a place of pleasure, and then I'll get out of your hair as fast as humanly possible.
Yep.
Yeah.
So do you provide, do you think that just building like cookie cutter options, what would be better, cookie cutter options or actual like custom built relevant options to the customer?
I think it's a mix of both, right? I think there's these are our basic bundles for what most people in your situation kind of look at. But I think a better plumber is going to build some custom options.
Yeah.
Based on not what you need, but what you've spoke about.
Yes.
Right. So it should be, I guess I said not what you need. It should include needs, wants, and desires.
Yeah.
Right. And you can sum that up in good, better, best. Good is needs.
Yep.
Better is desires.
Yep.
Best is wants.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't need a touchless hand motion faucet, but my wife wants it.
Yep.
If I sign the contract today and you put in that touchless faucet before my wife gets home, you know how many brownie points you just scored for me, dude?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm definitely not sleeping on the couch tonight.
No, and then you'll have to go work some more to pay for the damn thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You asked me a couple of the things I learned. There was the power in data and numbers.
Yeah.
Right. And that to stop running a business based on, because that's what my competition is doing. Stop doing it on because that's what my mentor taught me. Stop doing on what I feel. I feel like these calls aren't very good. I feel like this is the right price. Hey, Jared's company's charging that. We can't charge more than that. We got to charge less than that. Dude, forget everything.
Yeah.
Forget everything. It's simple math. It's not even complex math.
No.
I learned harder math doing like 45-degree takeoffs
Yeah. than
the math that we use for coming up with our formulas for our price book,
Yeah.
right? Our billable hourly rate. It's simpler math than, doing a 45-degree takeoff.
Yep.
So if you can do that and you can read a tape measure, don't be afraid of reading a P&L.
Yeah.
It's super easy.
What kind of positions were you in when you were reading P&Ls?
So as operations manager at most places, you're responsible for the P&L. Some places you're only responsible for like the top line, like the COGS.
Yeah.
Some places you are responsible for both top and bottom. And even though that's more stress because I couldn't always control everything in the expense side, I loved it because I'd learned.
Yeah.
I'd learned. That was a valuable education that, I don't know, catapults me so far ahead so fast.
Yeah.
It really does.
So because you have experience in the equity field working for these bigger companies, like how are they structured from from like bottom up? Like, what does their team look like?
So it's not super different than all our plumbing companies, right? Except that instead of the owner, right, there's probably like a board, right, that reports to shareholders.
Gotcha.
Everything else is almost the same, right?
Like for each individual company or?
For each individual location, yeah. Now, at locations, some companies differ, right? Some, the manager's responsible for all that. Sometimes they'll put in what they call a controller, right? So it's like kind of like a mini CFO in your location. So it's just a financial officer.
Yeah.
It's, a system of checks and balances. Because as a manager, you're like, hey, turn up my marketing, spend more money. I need more new equipment. I need all new vans, new.
Yeah.
And you're pushing
the
top
cash
line
flow.
growth.
Yeah.
Yeah. So sometimes you're not watching bottom line growth.
Yep.
But I really appreciated the places that didn't have that, so that I was forced to learn to manage those numbers.
Yeah.
That while I can be aggressive, there has to be not at an unreasonable cost.
Right.
It taught me some balance.
Yeah.
Taught me that also too, I've been at places that were so focused on controlling that they were just slowly killing themselves.
Yeah.
So it taught me how to take risk as well.
And when you say too controlling, like,
So focused on like saving their way to success, right? It's slow death every time. You're slowly killing a company. So we're gonna cut wages. We're gonna cut the marketing. Right?
that sounds
We're
terrible.
not buying any new equipment.
Yep.
Right. We can be more efficient. Right. And not true efficiency. It's just savings. They're just saving.
Yep.
Right. You've cut out all your talent because they all go to wherever the grass is greener.
Yeah. You just cut their pay.
Yeah. This isn't 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I remember even 20 years ago, I'd interview as a plumber and there would be 50 other dudes lined up for the same job. It's totally 180. At least where I'm at in California, right? I'm one of 50 companies competing for one employee.
Yeah. I think that's everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can't treat people like how we were treating people 20 years ago.
No.
We shouldn't have been then, right? That's what put us in this mess that we're in now.
Yep.
Right. I guess it's not necessarily a mess. It's a great time to be a plumber.
Dude, it's
the best time.
It is
The best
100%.
time. Right.
Yep.
Plumbers are millionaires now.
Yeah.
Right? It's
Yeah.
awesome.
Dude, if when I got into the plumbing trades, if you would have told me I was going to make millions, I would have been like, you're crazy.
Yeah.
Plumbers don't make millions of dollars. It took me a long time, but I did it. Yeah.
It's wild now. I see, I got some younger guys working for me and they're single. They haven't settled down. And when they tell girls that they're, blue collar tradesmen, like they got girls lining up now. It used to be you'd say that and they'd be like, well, I'm not slumming it tonight, dude. So unless you're a doctor or a lawyer, I'm not talking to you.
Words getting
So
out now.
yeah, it's funny how the tables have reversed, right?
Yep. That's funny.
So, one of the things I got to learn working with owners or like high level CEOs, like super hyper successful people, I think that was the most exciting because it wasn't really always about plumbing necessarily. I got to see these people were like, large scale equity investors, maybe not in groups, but like the single like head investor. Those people have their hands in so many things. And I never could comprehend like, dude, I'm just struggling to get through like running my one little shop.
Yeah.
Right. How do you have time to run 16 or 32 different businesses and your wife still seems happy?
Yeah.
Right. And I'm seeing that you're at all your kids' sporting events.
Yep.
Right? Like, how'd you squeeze that in, dude? I grew up watching plumbers, one truck guys couldn't even make it to their wife and kids and stuff. And then they'd be working till midnight billing people and then back up at the crack of dawn.
Yep.
First guy at the supply house. So time management,
Yeah.
I think was one of the hugest disciplines I learned.
Yeah.
And these guys taught me how to get organized,
That's super valuable.
how to make decisions quickly. And it's okay to fail. Just identify that quickly and come up with another plan and move fast.
Yeah.
Right. And I learned about, I remember one of these guys had me reading the book, Who Not How.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that was amazing.
Yeah.
I went out and got a gardener right away, got a, mow and blow crew, because and they did way better than I ever did. I thought I was such hot stuff. I had invested all this money, got the coolest mower, the coolest edger, and then Milwaukee came out with stuff. Of course, as a plumber, I got to get all the Milwaukee electric versions of these things. Spent so much money doing this just so I could have like a cool rose bush and a mowed lawn. And it would take me all day on Sunday. Every Sunday, instead of spending with my family, I'd be out there, and they might come out for a minute, like, she'd clip a couple roses and the kids would rake like a few leaves, but they're bored in 30 minutes and they're gone. And I'm still out there sweating every Sunday to have this perfect lawn. These guys are done in 30 minutes, right? They come out every week, 30 minutes, they're done. And not on a Sunday either. Like they're coming midweek while I'm not there and the kids are gone at school. So I just come home and it's done. And it costs me, I don't know. I mean, now at my hour, if I was to equate my hourly rate now, I mean, it's like 10 minutes of my time. Even as a working plumber, I tell all my guys, go get a yard guy.
Oh yeah.
Go get a pool guy. Everybody's got a pool in California. Go get a pool guy. Right. We get a house cleaner. Now we pay the house cleaner full dollar laundry. Put it all away for us.
Oh dude, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I like that one.
You know how valuable my wife's time is in our business? And that doesn't mean that, listen, I'm not just a workaholic, dude. Right? I don't always have to reinvest that time in the business. But if I reinvest that time in myself or more importantly, my kids and my wife.
Well, I mean, if you have a happy marriage, happy kids, you're fit and healthy, and that just prepares you when you are at work. You're so much more effective.
So much more effective.
Managing your time, for me, that's something that I never learned. I had to learn how to do it. And just like living and dying by my Google Calendar. Like if you're going to ask me to do anything now, I have to look at my calendar because I don't know I might have something going on then. I don't know. It's funny how my life is like completely 182. I'm way more organized. I live by a calendar now. All my time is planned out. Any opportunity I get to buy back my time through like, I don't clean the house, but we do have a housekeeper that bought my wife's time back. Getting somebody to mow my yard, getting a pool guy. Those are huge, like not just time lifts, but the energy that I would have to put into of, okay, I need to stop by the pool supply store and grab my chlorine tablets so that I can make sure and get the pool. I'm going to go clean the pool this weekend and I'm going to test the chlorine and it might need some chlorine. Like that brain space that just that one thing takes up, my brain space becomes so valuable at some point in time that getting all of it back that I possibly can so that my focus is only on one thing is massive.
Dude, it's huge.
Massive. This is what happens to me. My pool doesn't get cleaned. My yard doesn't get mowed. My house doesn't get cleaned. My laundry doesn't get folded. Everything goes to hell. And if I want it to like stay, like if I was to try to go put all that stuff together, my business would suffer. And so I almost have to I have to offload those things onto other people. Hands down.
I even was taught to expand that to other areas. Some things you don't have to buy back. Try just taking away decisions from yourself.
Oh yeah. Like
so clothes.
Oh yeah.
Right. I have a very narrow selection of clothes.
Yeah.
Right? It's like the same 4 things. I mean, I can mix them up, I guess, mix and match them, but I did that. So much more freedom.
Dude, see this t-shirt right here?
Yeah.
I own 10 of them.
That's I got 5 pairs of the same shirt.
Yep.
A couple different colors of it, but it's the same. When I find something that works, I just buy every color of that, and then I'm never buying anything else ever again.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Works great.
Yeah. I like those. And then how, like, did you learn when you're working for other people, did you get to learn the lesson of how valuable people are?
Yes.
Like the right person in the right seat versus the wrong person in the wrong seat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I learned that most of the lessons that I learned from these people, because I worked for a bunch of them, and it seemed to always work out perfectly. I don't know if the universe was just prepping me. I feel like it was.
Yeah.
for where I'm at now.
Isn't that weird how that
It
happens?
is. It was like the best education. And I didn't understand that at the time. I look back on it and I used to be so resentful at some of the bad places I worked at. Now I'm so grateful because they taught me what not to do.
Yeah.
And then it would be like every other place I worked was like really good or really bad.
Yeah.
So I'd see people just fire people constantly. And that's so expensive on a company, so taxing mentally and physically. It's just a terrible way to live as an owner. Versus people that just identified that, hey, you're a great employee. I just don't have you in the right seat on the bus. Let me put you over here. That person excels. Suddenly they're excited about their career. Their company's making more money. And you're going, great, that's awesome. You know? So, and just valuing people. So I've worked at companies where I was extremely undervalued financially.
Yeah.
Right. And then other ways. And I've worked at companies that were just like, they gave me the farm, you know? And I think there's a balance in there.
Yeah.
Right. I've seen companies actually over reward. Right. And I know that's rare. Most of the companies in our industry are undervaluing people.
Yeah.
They really are.
Yep.
Which is terrible. And I hope people stop that. At the same time, I'm grateful because it allows me to snatch all the best employees from all my competition.
Yep.
And I don't even have to lift a finger. I don't run ads.
Yep.
My guys walk into a supply house. You know, all the guys talk in the supply house, whether you want to admit it or not.
Yeah.
Whether you're the best company in town or the worst company in town, it doesn't matter. Your employees are talking to other employees. Everybody's always curious. Hey, man, I seen your shirt and your logo in here all the time. What's up, dude?
Yeah.
How's that company? Are they good? You busy?
Yep.
But are they paying you good? Because everybody's busy, right?
Yeah.
You see everybody, and there's a lot of busyness. Are they taking good care of you? The guys take pictures of their paychecks, dude. They show each other.
Yeah.
And I don't care what town you're from, how loyal you think your guys are. They all swap that info with each other.
Yep.
So be the best paying one.
Yeah. It's probably not even that hard to be the best paying one.
So we just while we were flying out here, long flight, we made the decision, hey, it's time to hire another guy. Get another van, get another guy. Instead of putting an ad up on Indeed or Glassdoor or something, I just put a message out in my group chat with all my guys. Hey, we need another tech. I got 20 applications already.
Nice.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's all, what's great too, is the guys are like, oh yeah, he's going to send you, a picture of his Service Titan report at the company he's at, That's their resume to me.
Yeah.
I already know that he's the guy that's wanting to interview with me is like the number 1, 2, or 3 tech at that company.
Yeah.
For like the last year.
Yeah.
So it's great.
Yeah, that is great. Okay, so you get all this past experience. You've got the number 1 sales guy on the, we'll say on the planet.
Yeah.
1 and 2 maybe. And you start your company, you get it going, and you're relying, tell me more about the progression of going from 0 to 7 million in 11 months. Did it feel nuts?
Yes and no.
What were those steps? What were the steps you took?
I had, towards the last part of my management career, I had done this enough where I had grown places repeatedly over and over in different areas, not just in Sacramento and in Southern California, the Bay Area, all over California, even some out of state stuff. So Greg and I, Greg's done this too. We both were very confident in that. At the same time, though, when you don't have the safety net, right? And I was shocked, man. Everybody warned me always that, you hear it on social media all the time, popular, coaching influencers will say, nobody's going to be in your corner. There's going to be a bunch of haters and doubters. And I've heard all that before. I didn't realize how real that statement was until we went on our own. The closest people were like, are you sure you have a really good job? That doesn't seem like a smart idea, dude.
Yeah.
Don't go on your own. And I was like, they're like, you're making a ton of money. You're making more than some owners do already.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's not about the money though, dude.
Yeah.
I've been at this long enough that's kind of like the final logical step. I want to keep learning and growing. And even if I fail, I don't care, right?
Yeah.
I'll get up and try again. But at least if I fail, it's so complete. I mean, how bad can you fail? What, are you going to go bankrupt?
No.
Right? Like, I'll hop in a truck, I'll go plumb,
Yep.
and I'll have money in the bank again. Like, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
Like, my biggest fear is letting down people that work for me now.
Yeah.
But like, really, what's the worst that happens to me? You know, what am I going to get? Sued or bankrupt? Like, that sucks, and I'm going to do everything to avoid those two things.
Yeah.
But it's not the end of the world.
No.
Like, I didn't forget how to plumb. I didn't forget how to connect with people. I can rebuild.
Yeah.
Like, in a really rapid period of time. I bet you I could be back up on my feet, a new business going in under 30 days.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Let's hope that doesn't happen to Mr. Drain. But
Yep.
so I was fearless in a way. And then I was driven too by all those doubters.
Does that motivate you?
Oh my God, yes. I'm so competitive.
Yeah.
And so is my business partner. And to an extent, my wife is like almost like a third silent partner in this whole thing, and we're all hyper competitive. That's the one thing that we're all like. So there's a couple things we mesh on is we're all hyper competitive. We're all very impulsive.
Yep.
Right. So we have a high tolerance for risk.
Yep.
We thrive in stress. Now, how we run the business, though, that's where we split. But that's the best thing for us, is that we each have our own realm in the business.
Yeah.
And we don't want to touch the other person's realm.
Yep.
I don't want your peas on my plate, dude. Keep them over there.
Yep.
And don't even eyeball my carrots. Those are my carrots, right? I'd say to most people, like, don't partner, right? Because most of the time when I hear people partner, it's like one person's the money person,
Yep.
and the other person actually has the skill.
Yeah.
Dude, go get a loan, right?
Yeah.
Go get a credit card.
Yeah.
Take
The
a
guy
risk.
with the skill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't need, I mean, a bank will loan you the money.
Yeah.
It's okay. You don't need to take on a partner to take half your business for the rest of forever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stop.
I agree.
And worse is like, don't get someone with matching skill.
No.
Like I said, I can sell okay, right? I'm not great. Not who you'd want to hire as a sales coaching trainer guy.
But you couldn't go out and sell and run the business.
No, definitely not.
Yep.
Without my partner, this would take years longer than it has.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
I plumbed one job when we started. Got out, put my work clothes on. It was fun.
Yeah.
It was fun. That was the first time I had turned a wrench in probably 5 years outside of, a DIY project. Plumbed this one house. I still had it. It was like riding a bike. Got back out there. Boom. Dug a trench, I don't know, 70 feet, and did the thing. After that job, we had guys hired.
Yeah.
It was our very first job. We did that together. And he was there, like Greg was there with me for like a couple hours. My wife booked a call, and he went off to that. And I knew he wasn't coming back. It was a good call. It was like a mainline stoppage with roots.
Yeah.
Sure as heck, he called me like 2 hours later. He's like, I sold a whole redrain on like a 4-bathroom house.
So you like it seems like your growth happened for a couple of very specific reasons. Like you have a background, you know how to price, you know how to sell. And so you start getting leads and you start selling them and you're like, okay, money's coming in. So you buy more leads and you hire guys and you just go.
Yeah.
Confidence, just massive confidence and belief that you're going to make this thing work.
My business partner makes it so easy for me to run and scale this. Right?
Yeah.
Especially in the beginning. So I lean heavily. Let's give him some credit since he's not here.
Yeah.
Right. We would not be in the position we are without him. So it's like having an unlimited bank account.
Yeah.
Right. I just give him a call. He's going to sell something, cash in. Right. It makes my job super fun as like the operation side of things.
Yeah.
Right. Sweet. I'm signing up for pro products. Sweet. I'm spending more money on marketing. Great. I'm going to hire a branding team right out the gate day one.
Yeah.
I know this dude's bringing in more money. So I was able to do all the things that most people have to take a long time,
Yeah.
Saving money. And then when they spend that money, they're like very nervous because they don't know if they're bringing in more money.
Yep.
Check out like one of the top guys in the nation.
Yeah.
It's my partner, right? Go out. We bought, we were in my house for 4 months, right? at month 3, I knew I had to get out of my neighborhood. Right. I mean, the guys were taking home vans at night, but they're still coming by all day. I think we had, I don't know, 8 vans at that point by month 3. Right. We were doing like already $650 a month or something like that. Insane. And I was like, I don't want to be that bad neighbor. Right? I live in a suburban track neighborhood. It's not like I had a large private property and some land or anything where it was all hidden.
Yep.
So I got vans pulling it out, and I'm parking tow behind hydrojetters on my driveway and dump trailers on my driveway. No, everything's clean, right? They were taking everything to the dump.
Yeah.
But then my whole garage was just like full of all this Mr. Drain plumbing stuff, like shirts and hats and swag and yard signs and cable machines. And my wife's like, where do we put our Christmas lights now?
Yeah.
Right. So we're like, well, let's go buy a building. This is another thing that we share in common, the 3 of us. Don't tell us no. Right? Everybody said, oh, you can't get a building until you have 2 years of tax returns. Like, oh, yeah? Watch me. Right? 2, called Wells Fargo, right? Got an SBA loan. Did we have to jump through a couple hoops? Yeah.
Yeah.
They were super easy, though.
Yeah.
So since I didn't have 2 years of tax returns, they were like, give me your forecast. Right? Let's see your projected P&Ls. I'm like, great. I built an 8-year plan, week 1 of the business.
Yeah.
Right? Broken down by the month, right? Expected top line, expected bottom line.
Yep.
With highlighted employee headcounts broken down by position.
Yep.
Right? We got the next 8 years planned.
Yeah.
Multi-location, everything. Right?
Yep.
I sent them that, and they said, dude, that's way too aggressive. Tone it down and then send it back to us. I said, okay. They said, well, send us what P&Ls you have, right? And by this time, we already had an accountant, you know.
Yeah.
And they called me back again. They said, dude, you got to tone that down. I'm like, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
They're like, you want a building loan? You can't be that aggressive. This seems too unreal. They said, we're going to call your accountant. I said, call him. He's a certified CPA. There's a tax attorney on staff and everything, right?
Yeah.
It's okay. They called us back. They gave us a loan. We bought a building. We bought a huge building.
Nice.
It's great. Filled it all up. We thought it was huge. We thought it was huge.
Yeah.
Right? Thought it was going to be big enough for the next 5-6 years, right? I'd already done a marketing analysis on our market. I'm confident that just in plumbing alone, it's a pretty big service area. We go to about an hour and 15 minutes in any direction, and we're kind of smack dab in the middle of it. It worked out perfect, right? But you know, doing a marketing analysis, population, the average people in the home, you know the deal, right?
Yep.
I confidently can see $6 million a month at a 20% market share, right?
Yeah.
My goal now, no one in town has done that, right? I've in this same town, I built shops up to 2 million plus a month, right? Nobody's done 3 million. That's my goal right now. Get us up to 3 million a month. So we're a little over 1/3 the way there currently.
Yep.
Right. We'll get there. So a lot of opportunity.
Yeah.
Right. So we bought a place that we thought was big enough. We've already outgrown it. Right.
Yep.
So we had to buy the lot next to it, and that's going to be our new parking lot.
Cool.
Permit process on parking lots, by the way, sucks.
Permit processing?
Oh my God. So we pull permits for all sorts of plumbing, right? You get a permit within, I don't know, 1, maybe 2 business days, right? You get an inspection, you're done. Move on to the next one. Dude, this has been like 6 months of plan checks and engineers. And, oh my God, it's a nightmare.
Oh, that sounds horrible.
You got to plant a certain amount of trees per parking spaces you put in. It's ridiculous. But quality problems.
So you've got the top salesman though. Like, what does your team look like now? How many guys you got out in the field, and then
right
he's
now
still selling a bunch of jobs or what?
Yeah, well, he is and he isn't. He's transitioned. Both of us have transitioned actually. So we got it's a little confusing, but let me give you the titles and then I'll tell you what they do.
Okay.
So we got 16 techs out there.
Okay.
Right. Our techs are more like high paid installers.
Yeah.
Right. I got 4 other sales guys. They run all the calls.
Are they just
during the day
strictly sales, or do they sales technicians?
They're selling techs. Let's call them that. That's a better better term. They're selling techs.
Okay.
Right. So they run the majority of the calls, right? 7 days a week.
Yep.
Right. They're on split shifts, one on one end of the week, one on the other. Right.
And how'd you choose these guys?
So they came to us. They came to us as selling techs, right? Some of them we knew, right? Again, small town, you get to know people, right?
So, but why move somebody in the sales tech position instead of the install tech position?
They're really good at connecting with customers.
There you go.
That's it.
They just
it's
sell
just
better.
high level of customer service,
Yeah.
and they love doing that. So what I've found is there's a huge division. Some guys just want to be, hey, dude, I just want to fix plumbing,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
I don't want to quote numbers to people. Okay, that's great. We got a spot for you on the bus.
Yeah.
We do.
Yep.
So I've worked at a lot of companies where you would send out these amazing plumbers, these technicians, out to people's homes, but they had the worst personal skills, the worst communication skills, and you'd send these techs first, right? And they were supposed to, if they thought there was an opportunity or some, a lot of companies set like a monetary amount, like if it's going to be more than this, you need to call out your field supervisor or whatever.
Yep.
Right? That's the sales guy.
Yep.
And a lot of the drain companies will have that, and it comes off bait and switchy because it's not because they're trying to pull a bait and switch. Like, this dude is more educated that's coming,
Yeah.
right? That's why he's coming, because the company knows that the kid that they sent doesn't know how to talk to people. He probably
Right.
knows the plumbing. He just doesn't know how to talk to people.
Right.
So they bring out a good talker.
Yeah.
And I never liked that system, right? I felt like it was backwards,
Yeah. I agree.
right?
Yep.
Why don't I send a people person out first?
Yeah.
And once you, the homeowner, and the people person, me, the sales guy, have come to an agreement, sweet, I'll bring in the most amazing team in the world,
Yeah.
right? They're all rock stars. They can do everything and anything that you want in your home,
Yeah.
right? You want to rebuild your house, you want to add on to it, you want to, whatever you want to do plumbing wise, we got you covered.
Yeah.
And it'll be the best done, better than
Yeah.
anybody in town. So I let those guys, and they love it.
Yep.
The technicians that are more install side, they love it, man. They just get to go in and be heroes. And they come out with 5-star reviews, and they're bragging about their work, and they're showing off to the customer, which once the job's sold, and the customer's paying a lot of money for these things, right?
Yep.
I want a guy that's doing some high level stuff,
Yep.
right? That's eager to show it off to a customer.
Yeah.
Now the customer sees the value. Oh my God, that was amazing.
Yeah.
It was worth that much.
Yeah.
This is awesome. Can I refer you? Yes, you can.
Yeah.
Right? Give me a 5-star review too.
Are your sales techs doing any work at all?
Yeah, they do some small stuff.
Yeah.
Right. So if we're just augering the toilet, I'm not going to send another dude out there to do that. It
Yeah.
doesn't make sense. So it's really like a time thing.
Do you
So,
have like a set time limit on
yeah,
it?
if they're going to be doing more than about 2 hours, maybe an hour's worth of work, right? We'll send somebody out.
Yeah.
So they'll do minor faucet repairs, little repairs, quick things. And they got those parts on their truck and stuff. Also, though, we're targeting them to the opportunity calls. So they're running all those opportunity calls. Usually most of my technicians are busy on these big installs, the working techs,
Right.
right?
Yep.
But there's always 1 or 2 that are available,
Right.
right? They're just waiting for something to sell, big job to sell. So on some of these smaller repairs or a warranty maintenance or an existing member, I might send them to those calls.
When you say, you mean a sales tech or an install?
The install tech.
Gotcha.
Right?
Yep.
He's just going to service an existing customer
Yep.
or follow up with something. I don't need to send a sales guy to that.
Do you call that like a specific, do you have selling techs, install techs, and then floaters? Like specific guys that float? Or is it just who's
No,
available?
it's just which of the install techs is available.
Okay.
They'll float around. They also run our after hours calls, right? So we run pretty late. It's 24/7. We advertise. We have to, right? And we book and take all that. But the reality is, most people are asleep at a certain time of night. I don't think we've gotten any 2 a.m. in the morning calls, right? I think once in a blue moon, I'll get something past 10 o'clock, but most of the time the guys are running just 1 or 2 calls between 5 and 7, right? So it's not end of the world, right? We rotate that. So, and you're not away from your family just all the time. You know, usually it's 2 or 3 guys are on call the same night, and they just take turns running that 1 or 2 calls.
Yeah.
And it's just one night a week.
Yeah.
So it's not too bad.
How do you determine like the time limit that a selling tech will be on site? Is it just, well, I have 2 selling techs and 8 install techs, so they spend less time, versus I have 4 selling techs and 4 install techs, so now my sales techs can spend more time? Or is that
I'm never rushing them through a call.
Yeah.
Take as much time as you need.
But is that like a varying, or is that a variable that varies?
So here's what I can track is the selling techs spend about twice as much time at the homes as the install techs when they go to the same lead, right? The selling techs spend more time talking to people, right? Which is why they have higher average tickets and higher close rates, right?
Yep.
They're people pleasing,
Yep.
right? They're out there getting to know their client. Right?
Yep.
Who cares about the plumbing? Techs will call all the time to ask questions, right? And I hear them call my partner. You know, it's the sales guru. I'll say, "Hey, boss, I'm here and I'm looking at this, that, and the other thing, and oh, it's all messed up, and I'm gonna send you pictures of it." And he's like, "What about your customer? How do they feel? Is this their forever home? You know, do they even want you to fix it? Do they care?"
Yeah.
Right? And that's where our selling techs, like, we don't have to have those conversations with them. They're getting to know the customer.
Yeah.
Right? Like, there's a plumbing problem in every home in America, right? Or there's a need for some upgrade of plumbing, and like, who cares about the plumbing?
Yep.
Most of the time, and I'm sure you got to the same point on a service call, like, I know what's going on before I even get there.
Yeah.
Right? Just from the brief description the homeowner gives me.
Yep.
Right? I'm just visually putting eyes on it to confirm that, right?
Yep.
That's why I won't give a phone quote, because sometimes it's not what you described over the phone. But as long as what you described over the phone is the truth, I know how to fix that. Right? What I want to get to know is you to decide if you want it fixed, right? And how you would like it fixed.
Yep.
And if there's anything else you want fixed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we put those guys customer facing first.
Okay. So you got sales techs, install techs.
Yep. Few apprentices.
Okay.
So there's
I imagine they only roll with install techs.
yes, they only roll with install techs.
Okay.
Right. And a couple of them are honestly ready to hop in a van at this point.
Cool.
On their own.
Cool.
Right? Now the install techs swap those guys out. So they only go to a job as needed. So I don't run 2 guys to a van. I think that's a complete waste of time.
I agree.
It is.
And so how many install techs do you have?
So we have the 16 install techs,
Okay.
the 4 selling techs, right? And then about 4 apprentices that get
Cool.
shared between those 16 install techs
Based on need.
based on need.
Okay. Cool.
Right? We're digging a 60-foot trench. We're going to need you over here today.
Yep.
We're doing a whole house water repipe. You're going to learn how to run PEX today.
Yep. Perfect.
Yep. But they're not, I don't want guys sitting in the same guy's van all day.
Yeah. And then from there, what's your office look like at this point?
So the office is, and we just scaled the office a little bit more because it's finally time for myself and the other owner to take a step back. Right? We're at that point.
Cool.
We were probably at that point a while ago.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
But I wasn't ready. Now I'm ready. I'm ready to enjoy some life. I'm just ready. Who am I kidding? Right? I would love to tell you that the next thing is to spend more time with family. Dude, I'm obsessive, and I know what happens if I don't stay obsessed and focused, right? I want to open a lot more locations. Right? So the office staff currently looks like we have 1 office manager. I have an operations manager or general manager, whatever term you want to use, right? I have 2 CSRs and 2 dispatchers, right? That covers 7 days a week from 7:30 in the morning till 7:30 at night.
And so what is your, like, can you tell me like the difference between the office manager and the general manager? Like, what's the office manager doing and the general manager doing?
So the office manager, she's handling
and who did you hire first?
the office manager.
Okay.
Yeah, I knew her. I knew her, right? She had been with me for a long time. She's always kind of held that role. It was our first hire, right? Outside of field workers, right?
Gotcha.
We Greg sold jobs so fast that I had to load on guys.
Yeah.
As fast as calls came in, I was buying fans.
Yep. Gotcha.
Right? Just nonstop.
Yeah.
But the first office worker was Marlene. She's our office manager, so she handles. So here's the reason we got her first. She's worn about every hat that there is, right? She knows how to get business licenses, pull permits, do health benefits for employees, handle HR stuff, handle payroll stuff, handle P&Ls, work with accounting teams, works with tax efficiency teams, all this stuff. Some of the things that, Service Titan's a massive box.
Yep.
Right? I know what I need to know in it.
Yep.
Right? I don't know payroll in it, dude.
Nope.
Don't care to.
Nope.
It's not going to help me grow the business if I know it better.
Nope.
Right? I might find some efficiencies in it, but that's about it.
Yeah.
So I needed her fast.
Yeah.
So we got her really early on. Now most of her time's consumed with that, and she almost acts as like a personal assistant too for me. So now she's in some of our other businesses, so like real estate, and then she'll be helping us with scaling multiple locations and stuff like that. So
Does she manage the CSRs and the dispatchers?
no, she has before. So but she's so good that I got to keep her moving with me.
Yeah.
I can't.
She'll get bored. She's that kind of individual.
She might get bored. I think she's just along for the ride.
Yeah.
She trusts me. Right? But she's too good. She's like Joel and his wife were for you. Right?
Yeah. Yep.
Don't let me forget. I got to tell you a dumb dad plumbing joke. So I feel bad that Joel's not here anymore. I feel like out of respect and honor for him that I got to slip that in somewhere.
Okay.
Here, let me shoot it. Let me just run it.
Go for it.
Okay. You know why plumbers are always sad?
Why?
The work's all going down the drain. I tried to write some more plumbing jokes for this, but they kept getting clogged. All right. I'll stop there, Joel.
Thanks.
I'm sorry. I had to fill in for you.
Someday we'll bring Joel back.
Yeah. So, yeah, the two dispatchers, just because I don't want to dispatch anymore. That's what I was doing most of the time. It's time. I have to have 100% of my time to work on other things.
Yeah.
You know what I love working on is marketing. I love marketing. It's a lot of fun for me.
So what are you doing for marketing right now?
So we're doing everything, everything there is. You know what? You know why I like marketing is because some things in our business don't really change.
Right.
Right? Like there's some new technology, and AI is a huge part of our industry. Software is a huge part of our industry now.
Yep.
Like, 5 years ago, you would have laughed if somebody said that. I think I have like 17 different AIs integrated into our business now at this point, and they're amazing and awesome, and I love them.
There's not a day that goes by that I don't use ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Not a single day.
I couldn't live without it.
Yep.
It responds to most of my emails and texts.
Yep.
Right? I had to make an agreement with my wife that I wouldn't use ChatGPT in our personal messages. Right?
Yeah.
Even on Facebook, it screens messages for me. You get a lot of people reaching out, and so it responds back and tells me the ones I need to respond to.
Yep.
But our technicians are using it, right? It records the conversations with them with customers, and then it plays back and tells them how they could have improved that process.
Yep.
And that's only to the benefit of the customer.
Yeah.
We have AIs that run routing so that we can get to a customer's home faster. I mean, it's all about the customer.
Yeah.
Every one of these platforms is only improving things for the customer.
Yeah.
And it's all moving towards speed to lead.
Yep.
Right? Because that's what a customer wants. Like
Yep.
the days where you thought that you could schedule a customer out 3 days
Yep.
are gone.
Yep.
If you are doing that, hopefully you're in a super small town with zero competition.
Yep.
And someday a guy like me is coming to that town, and it's going to just ruin you overnight.
Yep. It is.
I answer the phone. The answer is yes. We answer all the time, 24/7. We don't miss a call.
Yep.
Shout out to Plumline. You plug me in with them.
Yep.
Right? They're amazing. They handle our after hours. Their booking rate's incredible. Good people.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Stop answering the phone yourself. Hand that off to somebody else.
Yeah.
Right? And just be good at what you're good at. But all that technology, again, is just moving to making things less painful for the customer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how we can get down to like 1 hour time frames. Right?
Dude,
It's going to be hard, but I'm going to do it.
well,
It's for
you're
the customer.
probably better off with, I would imagine, with your selling tech, install tech model.
Mm-hmm.
Like at least your selling tech, when he leaves the job, you have a sold estimate with a time frame on it.
Yeah.
Where you know exactly how long your install tech is going to be there.
Yeah.
That's nice, right?
It is.
Versus like at Prospector, we never got to that point because we always had like everybody pretty much closed their jobs. So we had selling and install techs. They did it all, right? We never got to the point where we were like, let's split these departments and have selling techs and install techs. But it also caused a lot of scheduling headaches because we never knew how long somebody was going to be at a job. We had no idea.
That was one of the reasons we stopped that.
Yeah.
We did that for a period of time too.
Yeah.
These guys are never on the job that long.
Yeah.
If they are, if they're at a home for like 2-3
means they're
hours,
selling something big.
something big's coming.
Yeah.
It's a good thing. And that's when you go, oh, where's that dude at? He's still there. Oh, awesome. Right?
I totally think you could get to 1 hour appointment times.
Yeah.
I don't see why not.
Why not? Nobody else is doing it.
Just stagger them between your guys.
Yeah.
Imagine if you had 1 hour like show up windows and you guaranteed it.
I know a company
That'd be great marketing.
that did that. What was it? Rooter Ranger in Arizona.
Did they do that?
Dude, they killed it out
Yeah.
there. Ended up in like 3 years, they grew from 0 to, I don't know, 25 million, sold their company.
Yeah.
Great couple that was, I think they're actually back in the business. I follow them online. They're amazing. But that's what they did. They guaranteed 1 hour windows or your dispatch fee was waived.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Who cares about the dispatch fee?
Nobody.
Right? Just get there.
Yeah.
Tell the customer yes. Do what they want.
Yep.
You know? So we got it down to 2 hour windows right now.
Yeah.
And going strong at it. Problem is I keep pushing the marketing. So every time we hire enough guys for it, we don't have enough guys because I push the marketing. Quality problems.
Okay. Tell me what you're doing for marketing.
So we're doing all the big common ones, right? You got your whole multi-headed hydra of Google, right? Not just one part of Google, all the parts of Google.
All the parts. So like
PPC, LSA, GMB, Maps, SEO.
YouTube,
YouTube.
YouTube ads,
YouTube apps.
display ads, I'm sure.
Yes.
Doing them for, do you know if you're doing retargeting and
Yes.
just ads? Okay, cool. Yep.
Got to.
Yeah.
Then we're doing the old-fashioned direct mailers, postcards, right? Those work.
Oh yeah.
I got billboards. Remind me after this to show them to you.
Oh, cool.
I got some cool ones. Snag some of your ideas.
Cool.
Right, they're going up today.
What do you do for, like, when you do a mailer, what does a typical mailer look like?
It's a postcard. So I don't have to do this part.
Yeah.
So again, the benefit of having a strong sales guy who's trained and developed strong sales people under him, right, is very quickly, I didn't have to do any of my Google, right? I got on with Scorpion. There's some big boys, right? And they just handle all that for me. What's awesome about them is they're fully integrated with my CRM, Service Titan. What makes that even better for me is all that data is transparent. You ever work with a marketing agency and their numbers don't line up with what's in Service Titan?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have to worry about that.
That's nice.
So it keeps the pressure on them to perform amazingly well.
Huh.
And that pressure is awesome. It's just like the one reason I always tell people get with Plumline, because how they get paid is in alignment with our goals.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
They get paid by book call.
Yeah.
I love them for that. I don't know why everybody isn't doing that.
Yeah.
Right? Scorpion being that transparent puts the pressure on them, and it just made them rise to the top. So they do all my direct mailers. They do all my email campaigns for me with all that integration in there.
Yep.
So we're remarketing, retargeting.
When you're working with them, are you the one that's pushing your budgets? Or
Yeah.
because what I see with marketing companies is that they're trying to spend your money wisely, which is nice. I appreciate that. But then, like, for me personally, I'm constantly having to work with, like, go to the marketing company and be like, look, I'll spend more money on this, push this higher. I don't like, I want to push the envelope on this. And like marketing companies get a really bad rap. I'm sure we could put 30 plumbers in this room and some of them have used Scorpion and we could probably get some really bad negative opinions.
Absolutely.
And I feel like maybe it's a little bit of Scorpion's fault. Maybe they grew too fast. Maybe they had a bad rep or something like that. But I also feel like a lot of the blame is on the plumber for not being willing to spend enough money to get the results that
Nobody
they need.
spends enough.
Nobody
spends enough.
And then
when is too much in marketing?
well, that I mean, we kind of had this question earlier, and I think you're spending too much on marketing when you're creating a big bottleneck on the back end of your business, like, and you're just throwing money away because you literally can't get to all the calls. But if that was me, I'm like, well, let's get more guys. Let's fix that. Let's fix the bottleneck, not spend less on marketing.
Yeah.
Unless it's like such a huge offset that it would.
Yeah,
be
you might have to
stupid, right?
temporarily turn the marketing down
Sure.
until you can fix that bottleneck.
Right.
But I
Yeah.
don't think there's any saving money on marketing.
That's always been my opinion because it costs what it costs, right? To get a customer.
I think it's crazy. You ever hear the like the people talking about like the average EBITDA percentages that plumbers are spending on marketing? Was it like 5 to 7% of their monthly budget?
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, that's so insanely low. And they're like, well, that's an established company. It should be running down. Why? Why should I slow down once I'm established? Why not just keep going? Right? Why stop there?
So what about when you
have
get to
15% of the market share?
Well, what about
I want
when-
20?
Yeah. What about when you get to 20, 25% market
Keep going.
share?
Keep going.
Yeah.
What? God, I always forget their name. They're so awesome. What's that big plumbing company out of Charlottesville?
Ooh, I know who
You know
who
what
you're
I'm
talking about, but I don't
Dude,
know.
what
their
they have
name.
like 90% of the market share.
Yeah.
Like guys stopped applying for plumbing licenses in Charlottesville because there was no competing with them. I want to be that guy. Right.
Yeah.
Now that's the only story I've heard of that. But if someone's done it, why can't I?
Okay. Do you think they're super expensive?
I think they are.
Are they?
Yeah. It took them a long time to get there. I think they've been there like 20 years. I want to say they got bought out by PE and there were some declines in that, but they still like are dominating like 70%. But look back in the day, remember the old Roto-Rooter, right? Big giant franchise. They had, this was 10 years ago, but they had 70% of the residential market cornered in the U.S.
Wow.
That's insane.
That is insane.
Insane, right? It
Yeah.
can be done. It can be done. Keep spending.
Yeah.
Fix the problems on the back end, right? Now, there's been times where I've lowered my marketing because I'm like, dude, my booking rate sucks. I don't have a marketing problem. I have a booking problem.
Yeah. Yep.
Right? But yeah, with them, I've called them every single time and said, hey, bump it up.
Yeah.
They're going,
Okay.
we're trying to be wise with your money and, you know, we're on pace for the goal. And I'm like, well, we moved the goal.
Yeah. I really appreciate that, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Greg hit the goal. Greg
Yeah.
and his team hit the goal. So I had to move the goal because otherwise they were going to go on vacation, right?
Yep.
So I just keep moving the goal from them.
yeah. And when you're setting goals for them, are you saying, hey, I want X amount of calls
Yeah.
from, do you care what channel they come from?
No. So listen, I track all my different marketing verticals,
Yep.
right? Independently,
Yep.
each of them. And yes, some perform better than others, right? There's only a few that I've completely stopped with. Most of the time, I've just tweaked some of the settings in them, you know? And
Can you give me an example of that?
okay, so Angie's.
Yeah.
Ooh, everybody hates Angie's,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
The only good thing about them is they're cheap, but 7 other plumbers got there before me. And then when you do get to it, it's like a tire kicker, cheap customer. Okay. So I narrowed down our focus on Angie's to only drain calls, only residential. Now, why do I need to be a full service plumbing company? Tell me. What, just so I can brag to a couple plumber buddies like, oh, we do it all, well pumps, this, that, the other thing?
Yeah.
The customers don't care.
In your market, you don't.
No.
In this market where I'm at, you don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. You could totally just be drains only.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'd love that in this market.
Yeah. You would destroy in this market.
Yeah.
Yes.
Guys out here showed up in shorts and flip flops in my Airbnb.
Yes.
No, not even a logoed shirt, nothing.
Nope.
Right?
It's the Wild
Good
West out
dudes.
here, man.
They were good dudes, really nice, right?
Dude, so we do marketing here, and I'm spending a ton on marketing, and people are like, they come up to me and they're like, dude, I see your marketing everywhere. Like I'm some crazy genius or something. Like it's this like magic trick that I have that nobody else can do. It's a funny thing. And literally we're just spending money on Facebook ads for the most part.
There's so many other areas of business where you can tighten up the budget. Mm-hmm. Right?
Oh yeah. Just like keep it super lean and mean.
Yeah.
And spend a ton of money on marketing and pay your people well.
Yeah.
And you'll make a lot of money. Yeah. Okay.
Pay our guys really well.
So all the Google products, mailers, obviously you're doing Angie leads.
Yep.
What else?
We still keep the paper leads going. I think we have 5 different paper lead companies that we work with. Mm-hmm. And none of them are in competition with each other, which is awesome, right? They don't compete with any of our Google work. So you do have to watch out with paper lead services. You have to make sure they're not in competition. So you have to do a little research and you have to know enough marketing to ask very intentional questions, right? But their salesmen always slip up over the phone. They'll tell you because they don't know enough, right? They're just trying to close you.
When you say they're in competition, what do you mean by that?
So they might make a micro site that competes with a microsite that you already have running with another paper lead or with your SEO products.
Yeah.
So as long as they're not doing on that, then you're fine.
And that's going to make yours less effective and drive up your own lead costs.
Yeah, drive my own lead costs up. I don't want to spend more on my own stuff. I'm already spending enough. Marketing costs are insane. They've spiked, in our area, about 43% this year.
Yeah.
Right? A lot of it, too, is I've noticed I've honed in on targeted marketing, right? I just don't advertise every service. I don't advertise in every neighborhood to every demographic. I don't care about ranking number 1 anymore. I stopped that about a year ago. Stopped caring about ranking number 1. You can pay to rank number 1. And I watched the PE groups, the big money boys that I compete with. They spend probably 4 times as much as I do. Right, so they can be ranked number 1.
Yep.
I just want to be ranked number 1 to the right customer.
Yep.
At the right time.
Yeah.
In the right neighborhood.
I want to be number 1 right here.
Yeah.
Not on Google.
Yeah.
That's what I really want.
Well, I mean, here's the truth. It may be a ways away, but Google's on the decline for home services, for ad spend, right? It's becoming less effective in other markets are growing. You know a cool one that's growing? ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's got going on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what's one that's coming back in a way, right? And this is one that you have to be very, I don't want to say skillful, but you have to watch it. Yelp.
Yeah.
Made a ton of money from Yelp ads.
Yeah.
But Yelp can waste a lot too and bring in a lot of poor leads. So you have to, again, it takes some management, right?
Yep.
It's amazing what you can automate with AI in the managing of these things.
Yeah.
Right. Just a Zap account and some good scripting, and it's done.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds complex to some guys, but like
It's not.
I watched like a 30-minute YouTube video.
If anybody's having problems with automation, they need to get in the AI automation school group. It's by Tersh Blissett. Go to school.com and just search AI automation, like AI automation for the trades, I believe is what it is.
Yeah.
It's $149 a month, but it will save you hours and hours and hours of work.
Right.
Just with a few simple zaps.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I love Zap.
Yeah.
I love Zap.
Yeah. Yeah. I would totally go do that.
And then, of course, Facebook. And then and I know I'm late to the game on this one, but we just got it all made up, right? Got the tablecloths. I got the feather print, so we can do the home shows.
Cool.
The pop-up tents.
Yeah.
We actually bought a race car off a customer, and it's like an old Camaro. I'm not a car guy, so don't ask me. My partner's super excited about it. And then we got all wrapped, all Mr. Drain. We're super bright colors, bright orange, bright blue.
Yep.
You know, I'm not married to orange. I just Googled when we were coming up with the company, like, what's the most popular color for customers that builds trust and sells? And it said orange.
Yep.
Okay. Orange, yellow, and blue it is. Great.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like anything else in our area. Fully wrapped vehicles at all times. Guys in bright orange shirts. I mean,
Yeah.
kind of looks like Dude Wash, but just orange.
Yeah.
Super outstanding.
Yep. So when you're doing Facebook ads, what kind of ads are you doing?
So Facebook and Meta was a new thing for me, right? Again, I loved marketing. I got really good on Google, even doing it myself for a long time. But Meta's a totally different thing, and I'm still figuring that out. But it's fun, right? It levels the playing field. I feel like. Now I could be wrong on this, but my early data in the last 6 months shows that I'm pretty right on this. Is it's not pay to win,
No.
right? So I feel like this is going to be the area for smaller companies or mid-sized companies or companies that just don't have, huge bankrolls behind them or private equity money.
I think until private equity moves into it, yes.
Yeah,
I feel like
until
you're
then.
not there.
So get it while the getting's good.
Yep.
I
Are
also
you
feel like most
using it
people haven't figured it out yet.
Yeah. Are you using it for brand awareness, or are you trying to drive leads with
Both.
it? Yeah.
Both. And remarketing. So again, so this is where my colleagues poo-poo on me. It's because they're like, it's for brand awareness. That's what it's for. I'm like, I'm booking leads, booking valid leads, demand service leads. And what's awesome is it's going to a very targeted group of people that fits all the profile demographics,
That's
areas.
What
Dude, I even know their
love.
credit score before I show up. They're pre-qualified for financing.
How are you doing that?
You can set that in the audience builder in Meta. Yeah.
So what I love is I go in and I set I set them by the financial bracket.
Yeah.
For plumbing, I would always do just all the financial brackets because you get the top 50%. Because it's like 80,000 and up in household income. For pressure washing, I got to go a little higher. I get rid of that bottom bracket. Yeah. But that's my favorite. And we literally just run brand.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's took us a while to get the lead part going. The brand is I get really excited about that one though, because it's fun. It's what's cool about Meta, the whole Meta space, is whether it's for your brand remarketing or direct leads, it's entertainment.
Yep.
Right? It's an entertainment space.
That's what I think is cool about it.
Yeah. So you just got to be entertaining. So I stopped doing the dumb, like the sales ads, like, oh, $63 drain cleaning special today only, right? Nobody wants to see that, dude. Stop.
Nope.
Nobody wants to see still pictures. Stop.
Nope.
Right? Well, I gave my crew like selfie sticks. Boom, go out there. Hey, we just did this. I'm with Mrs. Smith. What do you think about Mr. Drain Plumbing? Oh, they're awesome. Cool. We'll check in on the next job.
Yep.
Right? Some of my guys even send ones in that are like super low quality. They did on CapCut or something. They're like, boss, please post this.
Yep.
I preview it, make sure, okay, he's got all his safety gear on. Okay, good. Right? I don't want OSHA coming after me.
Yep.
But post that up. And us at the home show or just us driving around town, filling up, ready for the next call. Who's ready?
Yep.
Get in some of those Facebook community groups. I still do that.
Yeah.
We're chasing 14 million, and I'm still checking the local Facebook community groups.
You can automate that with AI too. Yeah. Yep. And so are you
Got Manny Chat watching that.
Yeah, there you go. So are you repurposing any of the content you're making for Facebook? I imagine you're not just posting on Facebook.
No.
You're posting on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram.
Yep.
Okay.
Snap even.
Are you really?
Yeah.
I haven't gotten there yet. No. And then are you repurposing any of that content for like YouTube ads? Like going back in the Google platform and like retargeting people or even just advertising with the Google ads?
I have. So with the Google ads, yes, we're reusing some of that, the short form video reel content.
Yeah.
Right. Not so much on YouTube yet. Right. Again, I'm still doing a lot of like small testing with these spaces because it wasn't until like I was terrible about social media. Right.
Yeah.
Up until we started this business, my wife had an account for me just so she could tag me in things, because otherwise, some of her far off friends didn't even know she have a husband.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So she'd have to tag me in pictures, and I'd be real. I'd never logged on to any of that stuff. I was terrible. And then, we started Mr. Drain Plumbing. I was like, oh, I should probably post something on social media. So I got my logins and stuff. So it's been, and again, I thought it was like just for branding purposes. So, I just have my wife do something quick on Canva. And then later on, the CSR is like, hey, on your break time, do something dumb on Canva and post it, right? Do all the hashtags, right?
Yep.
That was terrible stuff, right?
Yeah.
But I don't feel bad. I didn't have them go out and delete all that stuff, because like every other plumber's doing the same thing.
Yeah.
As soon as we started posting video content, it drives so much more engagement.
I
so
agree.
much faster.
Yep. 100%.
And it doesn't have to be, everybody wants it to be like super high level content.
Dude, it's social media.
Yeah.
Pick up your phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any plumber in a truck can just record themselves.
Yep.
You don't
Agreed.
even have to sound smart.
Nope.
Just show yourself working and eager and happy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Call me.
Show the real side, like the human side of your business. Yeah.
Yep.
I agree. Well, cool, man. We're probably going to run out of time. We got to go to dinner.
Yeah.
So we could probably talk all day, but I appreciate having you on, man. Thanks
you.
for flying out here and being on the podcast. Super
Thank
cool.
you. It was an honor.